Stop scrolling. Do not pack another bag. Do not head to the airport. And certainly do not buy that expensive piece of luggage you have been eyeing until you hear exactly what I am about to tell you. If you think travel in 2026 is going to be business as usual, you are setting yourself up for a disaster that ends with you standing barefoot in a security line, watching a TSA agent toss your expensive electronics into a hazardous waste bin while your plane backs away from the gate without you. We need to talk about the massive shift happening in airport security right now. You might have seen the headlines. Or maybe you just noticed that the lines are getting slower and the agents are getting stricter. But there is a specific set of new regulations hitting the travel industry that completely changes what you are allowed to bring on a plane. The headline here isn't just about liquids anymore. It is about power. It is about data. And it is about the very luggage you are dragging behind you. The item that is effectively getting banned or at least regulated into oblivion starting in 2026 is the uncertified, high-capacity lithium-ion power bank, along with smart luggage that doesn't adhere to the new removability standards. But it goes so much deeper than just batteries. We are looking at a complete overhaul of the screening process that is going to catch thousands of unsuspecting travelers off guard. I have dug through the FAA safety alerts, the TSA press releases, and the fine print of the major airline carriers so you don't have to. We are going to break down exactly what is changing, why your old gear might be obsolete, and how to pack so you breeze through security while everyone else is getting pulled aside for a bag search. Let's start with the elephant in the room, or rather, the fire hazard in the overhead bin. The crackdown on lithium-ion batteries is reaching a fever pitch. For years, we have known that you cannot check a loose battery. That is Travel 101. If you put a power bank in your checked luggage, and it goes into the cargo hold, you are creating a risk of thermal runaway that the automatic fire suppression systems can't easily handle. But here is where the 2026 shift comes in. The scrutiny is moving to your carry-on, and specifically, the quality and certification of the batteries you are carrying. There is a push for what is being called the Safe Power Standard. TSA agents and international security counterparts are being trained to spot unbranded, cheap, or damaged power banks. If you are carrying one of those brick-sized chargers you bought for $10 at a gas station, or a generic brand from an online marketplace that lacks a UL certification stamp or a CE mark, you are at risk of having it confiscated. The logic is simple. The number of in-flight smoke events caused by cheap batteries overheating has skyrocketed. Security isn't just looking for weapons anymore, they are looking for unstable chemical compounds. So, look at your gear. Does your power bank have a visible label stating its milliamp hour capacity? Does it have a safety certification mark? If it is just a blank black plastic brick, do not travel with it. The limit has always been 100 watt-hours for standard carry-on, and up to 160 watt-hours with airline approval. But enforcement used to be lax. Now, because everyone travels with a phone, a tablet, a laptop, and a watch, the sheer volume of lithium on a plane is massive. If you walk up to the scanner with 3 massive power banks that look like they were made in a garage, you are going to get flagged. This leads directly into the smart luggage trap. A few years ago, smart bags were the hottest Christmas gift. They had GPS tracking, built-in scales, and USB ports to charge your phone. They were amazing. Then, the ban started. But in 2026, the enforcement is absolute. If you have a suitcase where the battery is not easily ejectable, and I mean ejectable without a screwdriver, pop out into seconds ejectable, you cannot fly with it. Period. It doesn't matter if you plan to carry it on. If the overhead bins fill up, which they always do, and the gate agent says you have to gate check your bag, you are in a crisis. You have to stand there, rip your bag open, and remove the battery. If you can't, that bag is staying in the terminal, and you are getting on the plane without your clothes. I want you to really visualize that scenario because I see it happen on almost every flight I take. Someone bought a smart bag 3 years ago. The mechanism is jammed or requires a tool they don't have, and they are forced to abandon a $400 suitcase at the gate. Do not let that be you. If you are buying luggage today, ensure the battery creates zero friction when you remove it. Better yet, buy a bag that doesn't have a battery built in and just use your own high-quality, certified power bank. Now, while we are on the topic of electronics, let's pivot to the technology that is scanning them. This is the second biggest change that is confusing travelers right now. You might have encountered those futuristic-looking white tunneling machines at some airports. These are the CT scanners, or computed tomography scanners. The promise was beautiful: keep your laptop in your bag. Keep your liquids in your bag. Just push your bin through and walk away. It sounded like paradise. But here is the reality check. The rollout is inconsistent. You will fly out of a major hub like Atlanta or Heathrow where they have the CT scanners, and the agents are yelling, "Leave everything in the bag." Then you will connect through a smaller regional airport, or even a different terminal in the same city that is still using the old X-ray technology. There, the agents are yelling, "Laptops out, liquids out." This inconsistency is causing massive bottlenecks because travelers are conditioned by the first flight to leave things packed, only to get yelled at on the second leg. You have to be a situational traveler. When you approach the belt, look at the machine. If it looks like a giant medical MRI machine, it's likely a CT scanner. If it's the flat, boxy gray machine we have used for 20 years, it's an X-ray. But even with the CT scanners, there is a catch. Just because the machine can see through your bag doesn't mean the agent wants it to. Sometimes these machines throw false positives on dense items. This brings us to a weird, specific ban that catches people off guard: organic powders. If you are traveling with protein powder, dry shampoo, cooking spices, or even large amounts of ground coffee, you need to be careful. The rule is generally that powder-like substances over 12 ounces, or about 350 milliliters, in carry-on bags may require secondary screening. Why? Because improvised explosives often look exactly like a tub of vanilla whey protein on an X-ray. In 2026, with the sensitivity of these new scanners, dense organic masses trigger alarms constantly. If you are packing a week's worth of workout supplements, put it in your checked bag. If you keep it in your carry-on, pull it out and put it in a separate bin just like you used to do with liquids. It saves you from having a stranger with blue gloves dig through your underwear to find a bag of stevia. And while we are talking about saving time and money, if you are finding this breakdown helpful, consider subscribing to the channel. I am constantly tracking these changes so you don't have to stress out the night before a trip. Let's go deeper into the liquids situation, because the rumors of the 3-1-1 rule dying have been greatly exaggerated. Yes, the CT scanners are technically capable of identifying liquids, which led some airports to say you can bring full-sized bottles. And this is a huge but that has been rolled back in many places. There were technical glitches. The scanners were overheating or running too slowly. So, even in 2026, do not assume you can bring a full bottle of shampoo just because you read an article about new scanners. Stick to the travel sizes. It is not worth the risk of having to throw away an $80 bottle of cologne. Furthermore, there is a category of items that people simply do not realize are considered liquids or gels. This is the spreadables rule. Peanut butter, hummus, soft cheese, honey, toothpaste. If you can spread it or smear it, the TSA considers it a liquid. I cannot tell you how many jars of artisanal jam I have seen confiscated. There is a specific heartbreak in watching a tourist lose a souvenir they just bought because physics defines it as a non-Newtonian fluid. If it's not solid as a rock, check it. Now, let's talk about identity. The days of flashing a driver's license and walking through are numbered. We are moving toward a biometrics-first environment. You have probably seen the cameras at the podiums. They take a picture of your face and match it to the gallery of passport photos on file. This is credential authentication technology, or CAT2. Here is the friction point: privacy versus speed. You technically have the right to opt out of biometric screening in many jurisdictions. You can tell the agent, "I would like a manual ID check, please," but be prepared for the social engineering aspect of this. The lines for biometric scanning are designed to move fast. The manual check requires the agent to stop, sigh, pick up your physical ID, put it in a scanner, and look at you. It takes 3 times as long. In 2026, while you can opt out, the airport infrastructure is being built to make opting out inconvenient. And then there is the Real ID saga. We have been hearing about the deadline for the Real ID Act for over a decade. It keeps getting pushed back. But eventually, the hammer drops. If your driver's license doesn't have that little star in the corner, it is not federally compliant. You will not be able to use it to board a domestic flight. You will need a passport. If you haven't upgraded your license yet, stop procrastinating. The lines at the DMV are only going to get worse as the final deadline approaches. Let's shift gears to the gate check nightmare I mentioned earlier. This is a critical strategic error that ruins trips. Airlines are overselling flights. They are flying narrow-body aircraft with smaller overhead bins on major routes. This means that by the time boarding Group 4 is called, the bins are full. The agents will force you to check your carry-on bag to your final destination. This is a dangerous moment for your gear. If you packed your laptop, your medication, your car keys, and your lithium batteries in your carry-on, and suddenly that bag is whisked away into the cargo hold, you are in trouble. First, the lithium battery is illegal in the hold. If they find it, they pull the bag. If they don't find it, it's a safety risk. Second, baggage handlers are not gentle. Your laptop screen will crack. Third, if that bag gets lost, you have no keys to drive home and no medication to keep you alive. You need to pack with an extraction module in mind. This is a small, packable tote bag or a packing cube that sits at the very top of your carry-on. It should contain your absolute essentials: passport, phone, charger, medication, keys, and fragile electronics. The moment the gate agent says, "We need to check your bag," you unzip, grab that handle, pull out your extraction module, and hand over the suitcase. You look like a pro. You don't hold up the line, and you keep your valuables safe. Let's talk about something that gets people banned, not just the item, but the person. The unruly passenger lists are growing, but it's not just about getting in a fight. It's about non-compliance with crew instructions regarding electronic devices. We are seeing a crackdown on people who refuse to put their devices in airplane mode or who bypass the blocked sites on the in-flight Wi-Fi. It sounds dystopian, but airlines are tracking data usage. If you are trying to stream heavy data or bypass security protocols on the plane's network, or if you are using devices that emit strong radio signals that interfere with the plane's new 5 grams altimeter protections, you can be flagged. This brings us back to the smart tags, things like AirTags or tile trackers. A couple of years ago, there was a brief panic that these would be banned because they are technically active transmitters. The consensus right now is that they are allowed because the transmission power is so low. However, keep an eye on this. If you have a tracker that uses a cellular network, not Bluetooth, but an actual GPS tracker with a SIM card intended for tracking cars or pets, those are generally prohibited in checked luggage because they are active cellular devices. Make sure your luggage tracker is Bluetooth only and compliant with airline regulations. Now, let's discuss the trusted traveler ecosystem. TSA PreCheck, Global Entry. Clear, are they still worth it? In 2026, the answer is yes. But the landscape has changed. TSA PreCheck lines are getting longer because so many credit cards give it away for free. It is no longer the exclusive fast lane it used to be. It is just the slightly faster lane. Clear, which uses biometrics to skip the ID check, has come under scrutiny for security lapses and is facing stricter regulations. If you travel internationally even once a year, Global Entry is the gold standard. It includes PreCheck. But here is the warning: the interview backlog is insane. If your membership expires in the next 6 months, renew it today. Do not wait until the week before your trip. You will not get an appointment. And if you are applying for the first time, look for enrollment on arrival. This allows you to do your interview at the customs booth when you land from an international flight. It is the best kept secret to skipping the 6-month wait for an appointment at a local enrollment center. We also need to touch on the food ban that isn't really a ban, but might as well be. Agricultural inspections are getting incredibly strict. You might think bringing an apple or a ham sandwich off the plane isn't a big deal, but if you are flying internationally, specifically into the US, Australia, or New Zealand, that apple can cost you $500. The biosecurity dogs are trained to smell food. In 2026, with concerns over global agricultural diseases, there is zero tolerance. If you have food, declare it. If you are not sure, declare it. The worst that happens is they take the apple and throw it away. If you don't declare it and the dog sits next to you, you are getting fined and you might lose your global entry status. Yes, you can lose your trusted traveler status for smuggling a ham sandwich. It happens all the time. Let's recap the strategy for your next trip to ensure you aren't the victim of these 2026 shifts. 1. Audit your power. Throw away the cheap, unbranded gas station power banks. Invest in a high-quality, reputable brand with the capacity clearly marked on the casing. Keep it under 100 watt-hours to be safe. 2. Check your luggage tech. If your bag has a battery, practice popping it out. If it takes you more than 5 seconds, that bag is a liability. 3. Master the scanner game. Assume you need to take liquids and laptops out unless told otherwise. Do not be the person who argues with the agent about what the machine should be able to do. Just do what the person with the badge tells you to do. 4. Watch the powders. If you are a fitness fanatic or a foodie carrying spices, check them. It is not worth the secondary screening delay. 5. Prepare your extraction module. Always be ready to separate your life-sustaining items from your roller bag at a moment's notice. 6. Digital hygiene. Ensure your phone is ready for biometrics. Your airline app is updated, and you have offline copies of your boarding pass just in case the system crashes. Travel is still one of the most rewarding things you can do, but the days of casually throwing things in a bag and hoping for the best are over. The security theater is becoming a high-tech security fortress. The agents are overworked. The rules are shifting, and the technology is outpacing our habits. The only way to win is to be over-prepared and hyper-compliant. When you walk into that terminal, you want to be the person who glides through. You want to be the one putting your shoes back on while everyone else is arguing about their toothpaste volume. You want to be the one sipping coffee at the gate while the amateur travelers are sweating over a confiscated battery pack. Knowledge is your best travel accessory. The rules I've outlined today are the current trajectory for 2026. But as we know, things can change overnight with a single security incident. That is why staying plugged into this community is so important. I want to know from you, what is the most ridiculous thing you have ever had confiscated by airport security? Was it a snow globe? A jar of peanut butter? Or maybe something you didn't even know was in your bag? Drop your story in the comments below.